nuts. Well, here's footage from when I went to UVU. Let me show you exactly how much of a Spider-Man you have to be to get on this roof. It's insane. All right, folks, so here's the stairs that go to the roof. Wow. This wall is about maybe 3 feet tall. All right, so right there is the shooting position. It's about 200 feet away from there. Nuts. Well, here's footage from when I went.
You know what I love about the internet, guys? It's impossible to stay hidden. It's impossible to keep the lies going. What's going on? I'm early for once. I did it. I did it. Yeah. Golf clap, everybody, please. What's going on, everybody? I'm Aces America Fire. Tonight, we are going through, I think it's the end of Candace Owens. The momentum is gone. People are finally fed up, digging in. Tucker Carlson finally came out and just destroyed her in a way that only Tucker can do. I'm going to play that tonight. We're going to go through it. The end is near. And then Trump with this Venezuela. Got an oil tanker in Venezuela. What is going on? Is this actually the beginning of World War III, or what else could be going on with this? And Indiana, I mean, there's so much to talk about tonight. We are going to go through it. I'm going to break it down for you. I'll tell you what's really going on, give you the best analysis possible you can find out there. And you guys know I'm not bought and paid for, because look, I'm a small show. You can't buy, like, this guy is, you know, hey, I'm just telling it like it is. So for you who watch me, you guys who've been around for the last 3 years, you know I tell it straight. We're going to do this tonight. So before I get started, please hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let's get moving. If you want to support the channel, you guys know the link is in the description for that free month of Patreon. And yeah, I'm going to hit up the chat and we're going to get hitting this hard and heavy, but let's see who's in here first. Media Junkie, what's up, buddy? Been a bit. First tonight, Toe Cramp, Moody Waters, Wago, Waco, Dave in the house, Cass Sink, Frank Anastasio, Nick Majors, Steve Bernard, the one, what it do? Pat M, Scott Volkovich, US1 Tahoe, Barbara's here, Tracy Benna, Alice Fordham, what's going on? William Collins, baby. One Love in the house. Nell's over here on Rumble. Rum Dog. Stephanie Bridges. LED. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Can't wait to hit this up. We got good stuff. Good stuff tonight. All right, so I just showed you that first video. You guys ready to just get into it tonight? We're going to go. By the way, if you're new to the show, unless you're on X, unfortunately on X, I can't see your comments because X hasn't fixed that yet. I hope one day they actually set up the live stream feed to carry the comments through to the streaming software, but for now, no bueno. But if you are on X, you can repost for me. I appreciate that. Hit that like, follow me if you'd like, and if you do comment, I'll try to hit you up later. How's that sound? I think that's a pretty good deal. But for everybody else, listen, this show's different because I love to check out the chat. So hit me up with your comments, questions. Let me know if I suck. Let me know if I'm missing something. Let me know if you want a little more information. Whatever it is, hit me up in that chat unless you're trolling, and then we'll kick you out, right? Right, Brett? I don't know if Brett's here yet, but Brett the mod, any other mods, Eric the mod, they'll take care of it. So, all right, guys, you ready to get into it? So the clip I just showed you is just a reminder that Candace said you got to be Spider-Man on the roof to get up there at UVU to shoot Charlie. But you guys just saw how easy that is to get up there. I got to say, folks, I don't like covering the Candace stuff because it's mostly just drama. It's mostly just infighting. And, you know, it's not what this show is usually about. Unfortunately, She crossed over. It got too important. It's at the point now where literally, if this keeps spreading, she could screw up the trial because, jurors could be watching what she's saying. Tyler Robinson's about to go to trial. This whole thing's ridiculous. She's making more money off Charlie Kirk than anybody else. It's sick. And I just, because of the effect on MAGA, I have to cover it. But I'm excited to say that this might be the last show I have to cover the Candace drama because something changed yesterday. Erika Kirk came out, finally called out Candace, said, what we were all thinking, how just evil and terrible it is what Candace is doing. I know some of you guys like it. That's fine. But she finally stepped out. And remember what Candace had told her? Said, oh, Erika, if Erika tells me to stop, I will stop. Just acting as if she's all noble and like somehow she's doing Erika a favor. Meanwhile, she's just destroying Charlie's legacy as best she can. Well, Erika finally called her out, basically told her it's time to stop. Didn't say her name, didn't need to. We all knew who she was talking about. And Candace responded with this. I'll let you guys see the whole thing up close.
Okay, super fun show today. You're probably seeing the clips, but Erika has gone off on conspiracy theorists. Obviously, every journalist out there is emailing me because it's about me. It's indirect, but it's also about me. And don't worry, in case you think it's not about me, she is going to name check me on stage with Barry Weiss on Saturday. How do we know? Because our mommy sleuths be everywhere. And they recorded the town hall today. And as soon as the town hall concluded, we got a flutter of emails. And what she says about the Egyptian planes, I'm sorry, not gonna lie, it's a little suspicious. It's weird. It's a weird response. So look, we got to go there. Okay, super fun show today.
Go there.
You're probably seeing the clips, but Erika has gone off on conspiracy theories.
She's enjoying this. She's loving it. The fight. This is a sick woman. So, telling and she spent the whole day on her show just bashing Erika, tearing her down, calling her a beauty queen that has no business being a CEO. It's sick. It's sick. The grieving wife and mother of his kids who watched her husband get shot in the throat. Her little baby's running up. Is daddy okay? At the show. I mean, come on. This is so disgusting. And the glee. I've gone over it 100 times. We don't need to go over why this is an issue. You guys know my stance on this. If not, you can watch my earlier videos, but this video right here, before she even came on live, it really started to rub people the wrong way. And Tucker finally weighed in, and Tucker gave a response, which I think is classic Tucker, very well done. And I will be honest with you guys, he doesn't call Candace by name, but we all know who he's talking about as he goes here. Let me play this. I'm going to stop at a couple points to talk about some of his what he's talking about, but listen to this. This is how Tucker shows us how this should have been handled, basically the entire time. Oh, sorry, no sound. Hold on a second. Let's try this again. I don't know why there's Russian captions. Maybe this is from his actual channel. So maybe really he is paid Russian propaganda.
In the 3 months since Charlie Kirk was murdered, I've really tried not to comment on the murder investigation in public, and it's not because I don't care. Of course, I love Charlie and knew him well since he was a teenager. But I haven't said anything about it. I really tried not to say anything about it. First, because I don't really know anything that everyone else doesn't know.
Hold on. Wait a second. Did you hear what he just said there? This is a guy who is friends with Charlie, loved Charlie, believed it helped MAGA, helped Trump get elected as well, just like Charlie did. And you hear the difference already of Tucker's approach versus Candace. I didn't speak out because I didn't know. Well, that certainly didn't stop Candace, but that's the difference between honor and dishonor. Again, I've said it lots of times, if Candace really cared, she'd be investigating in the background, waiting till the trial happened, seeing if justice was occurred, and then bring up all the questions. You don't do it immediately afterwards because you can screw up the investigation, the trial. And we just don't know yet, do we? We don't know if justice is going to be served. We don't know if they're going to do a good job. We don't know until they've had a chance to do it. Tucker gets that, but Candace obviously does not.
I've asked around, but of course, how do you know what the truth is? But the other reason I haven't said anything is because I know personally a number of the people involved in what's now become a very large story. I know them really well. And I really think a lot of all of them on every side. Candace Owens, I've known a long time. I love Candace Owens. Blake Neff at TPUSA once worked for me at a couple of different places, and I love Blake Neff. Erika Kirk, I've known since she was dating Charlie Kirk, and I love Erika Kirk. And I think these are all really, really decent people. And so it's been my...
Hold on. So he just said he loves Candace. This is Tucker he's doing this really carefully. But as he goes through this, you'll see he's basically, he's going to lead up to how, well, he's already started by saying he didn't get involved. He's painting a contrast, and it's going to get powerful.
My desire for 3 months not to get involved in any of this, and in general to think to myself, anybody who is earnestly searching for the truth, whether they're right or wrong, but as long as they're motivated by a desire to find out what happened and therefore honor Charlie's memory by getting to justice, anyone who's doing that, I'm not going to criticize. Again, no matter what track they're on, lots of us, and this has certainly happened to me, have good moments, but good motives, but wind up in the wrong place. But it's a sincere mistake. So that definitely happens. I have done that, and so I've just wanted to stay out. And then the other day, I had like a 3-hour conversation with Theo Vaughn, and it was not about Charlie Kirk or anything related to it, but that topic came up. And I said, in effect, I don't trust the FBI. And that gave some people the impression that I was, accusing them of being involved in Charlie's assassination. And of course, I wasn't. And I certainly didn't mean to. But it gives me the chance now to say what I think, which is that we should not necessarily trust the FBI. And by the way, why would we? It's not an attack on, the political leadership of it. I've known Dan Bongino, for example, for a long time, and like Dan, and don't imagine he would ever be involved in intentionally covering up a murder of somebody. I don't believe that. But Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, for that matter, are at the top of the org chart, but this is a huge organization, and parts of it act independently from leadership. That's the nature of bureaucracy. So saying, well, I like Dan Bongino and don't think he would do something wrong on purpose, which is how I feel, doesn't mean that I trust the FBI or have to trust the FBI. And again, why would I? If there's one lesson of the...
Real quick, absolutely right. We have no reason to trust the FBI, especially because of the past. But again, Tucker's going to break it down how to deal with this with honor versus, and this is what I've been saying the whole time, because as soon as I criticize Candace, it's, oh, you're taking TPUSA's side. Oh, you're just a shill for the FBI. All these bots come after me. No, that's not what it's about. You can balance this. And again, this is what Tucker's about to present.
Last election, the 2024 election, it's that a lot of our biggest systems, our biggest institutions have rot in them, and that needs to be reformed. And as if we needed more proof of it, we'd learned what a lot of us suspected for years, that January 6th was in effect a setup, and the FBI was key to that setup. And it's still not clear that everyone involved in that setup at the FBI has been fired or punished for that. So no person, no American is under some moral obligation to believe everything the government tells you, particularly institutions or agencies that have a long documented, factually documented track record of committing crimes. participating illegally in our political system, for example, as the FBI has done, manufacturing crimes, setting people up, distorting justice. That's the opposite of their job, of course, which is to get to justice through facts and then to tell the rest of us how they arrived at this conclusion, to prove to the rest of us that the right people are being punished. So we're not under any obligation. Of course, we shouldn't invent theories to discredit the FBI, but it's not.
Oh, wait, what did he just say? We shouldn't invent theories to discredit the FBI? There it is. He's starting to go down.
Enough to have government officials tell us, well, this is the truth. We have a right, probably an obligation, to say, well, can you prove it? And if you can't, I don't have to believe you. So if there's one thing that bothers me above all about the investigation into Charlie Kirk, is that is getting lost. As people argue over what happened, we are potentially letting our largest federal law enforcement agency off the hook. It is the job of the FBI to find out what happened and to tell the rest of us, not hide behind, well, it's national security, confidential sources. No, tell us what happened. Show us what happened. Convince us what happened. That's your job. And we shouldn't accept anything less. And by the way, when we do accept something less, then, new explanations fill the vacuum left by the FBI, which we pay to explain to us what happened. And so I'm going to really do my best not to talk about things I don't understand, state things as though I know them when I don't know them. I'm going to do my best to stay out of it because I love Charlie and I want justice to be done in this case. But the rest of us should remain skeptical. We have a duty to remain skeptical, and we should not be ashamed of our skepticism. Thanks.
Okay. So I can already hear some of you being like, oh, wait, you're just calling out the FBI. That wasn't anything to do with Candace. Blah, 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 blah. Listen. Why do you think, with all this uproar happening, Tucker finally made this video? Just think about it for a second. What is happening in MAGA? What's been going on? Come on. You only have to do the math. And Tucker says it at the very end. He says, I will stay out. This is why Tucker is such a master. He doesn't get into the fray. He doesn't get into the back and forth, even though Tucker's not afraid to call out names sometimes. But he's in this circuit. He's in this MAGA. He knows not to let's not cause the rift in MAGA continually. Let's not make it worse. He's trying to stay above that. But he says exactly at the end what his criticism is. And he says it by putting himself in the place of where Candace should be. He says, I'm not going to say anything until I see what happens. Because, and he says this very clearly, because I loved Charlie. Now, what's Candace been saying this whole time? Oh, I love Charlie the most. I care about Charlie the most. This is why I'm doing this. I care Charlie the most. This is where Tucker differentiates how to handle this. And everybody getting caught up in this whole Candace Owens stuff, watching it, even if you agree with her, did my stream die? Oh, are you kidding me? Well, it's still up on Rumble, so it'll hopefully it'll come back. Even if you agree with Candace, okay, the problem is not everything she's saying it's how she's saying it. And let me see if I come back here on the stream, if YouTube reinstates me. This is nonsense. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe they killed the stream again. If YouTube reinstates. Hold on a second, guys. This is nonsense. You guys can jump over. We'll see how this handles. I think I'm still up on X as well. But anyways, they just killed my stream on Rumble. They obviously probably don't like what I'm saying. Anyways, listen. Let's see if I'm still up they just killed my stream on Rumble. They obviously let's see if I'm still up here on X real quick. That's crazy. They won't let me. Yeah, so Rumble's still good. X is still good. I think X is still good. Let's see if I'm still up on X. Oh, they killed me on X as well. Wow. Oh, we're back. Back. X real quick. Okay, there it is. Cool. All right. Great. We're back, guys. All right. So, man, they don't like me showing stuff. Isn't that crazy? How funny how that works. Okay. Anyways. All right. So what I was saying, guys, is with the whole Tucker thing. All right. The fact is he makes it very clear. I loved Charlie. That's why I'm not going to ruin anything. I'm not going to step out. I'm not going to say this stuff. Okay. And that's where the differentiation comes in. That's where he's playing the higher card. Okay. I'm above this. I'm going to stay above this. I'm not going to get into the fray, but it is, if you can't see it, it is a direct rebuke to what Candace is doing, but he's doing it in a very wise way where he doesn't enter the fray and bring her ire back. Now, speaking of loving Charlie, okay, speaking of loving Charlie, Tim Pool dropped this today. I'm not going to play this whole clip. It's 5 minutes. And right now, YouTube's not barely letting me play any clips at all without cutting me. So, you know, I don't think they like me talking about Candace because the whole, you know, she's a big moneymaker for YouTube. Let's just be honest. So maybe that's why they're cutting the stream, because it didn't cut out on X or Rumble. Isn't that funny? Oh, well, you know, if they don't like you, they don't like you. And it's usually for good reasons. You know, it's just for a second, you know, what's so funny about when Candace is like, oh, you criticize Israel, they take you out. Really? Because all the people I see criticizing Israel are getting the biggest fanfare right now, the most momentum, including you, Candace, including you. I just think that's funny how that works out. But a little guy like me goes and criticizes Candace Owens, shows a Tucker clip about it, and they try to shut me down. So, oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so Tim drops this. Don't Charlie's children deserve a future? Wouldn't that be the best thing we could do for Charlie? And you mentioned several prominent conservatives have confirmed to me that Candace spent months before Charlie's death telling people she hated him. I'm going to try to get away with a little clip. Maybe if I skip around, it won't get me.
Received a tip. Several prominent conservatives have confirmed to me and my crew that Candace Owens had been going around shortly before he died, within the months before his death, saying that she hated him. Now, I wonder if she really hated him. Maybe she was just scornful, second wife syndrome. Maybe she actually really loved him, but when he chose Erika over her.
Here's the deal. Not only did she have a thing for Charlie and he chose Erika over him. Okay, that's only a small part of it. But she also, this woman has been jumping on every opportunity she ever could to become huge. She joined Daily Wire. She joined TPUSA. She had her own marketing thing before. This woman is just every opportunity. She was grifting in the early 2010s, the whole race deal. She was basically a Democrat. She was anti-Trump. She just goes wherever the water's warmest for Candace's career. And obviously it's worked out for her. I mean, look, she's doing great, including marrying a rich dude after 17 days, getting engaged to him, where he admits there was no romance. But he's worth $300 million, so maybe that's the romantic part Candace wanted. But she's opportunistic at every chance. And now it's, Tim's telling everybody, conservatives all around knew she hated Charlie the last 3 years. And this isn't Tim just making it up. We have this from other accounts. Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens had not been on speaking terms for well over a year before his death. Last joint public appearance, May 7th, 2024. Owens hadn't spoken at a TPUSA event in 3+ years. Kirk unfollowed her on X and stopped having her on his show in 23-24. The unfollow. The great unfollow. This is what I mean about the internet being it's impossible to hide on the internet. The unfollow, the deadly unfollow. You never want that. TPUSA board member Eric Bolling confirmed September 25 they hadn't communicated in years. Current feud is real. Claimed they were close friends right up to his assassination is not accurate. Candace Owens sparked backlash, saying he was in love with another woman before he married Erika Kirk. Yeah, nah, she thinks it was her. Remember when she showed those texts a few weeks ago? That seemed like pretty buddy. Yeah, that seemed like pretty special relationship. But obviously it wasn't that special to Charlie ultimately. And now we get the great assassination of Charlie dies, and then she is the one trying to assassinate his life work. And again, I'm not vindicating TPUSA on anything, but I don't care right now. I am going to wait and see if it actually gets finalized, if we get justice. Because if we don't get justice, if they cannot create a compelling case, that's when we know it's time to go digging. But you don't need to do it before the process is played out, because sometimes I know the government can't be trusted in many areas. I know that, trust me, I mean, I started this channel because I'm skeptical of the government. But I do trust Trump. I do trust Kash Patel. I do trust these people who were close to Charlie. And I want to say that sometimes, even though the government's been terrible, even though they screw up so much, even though they've done horrible atrocities and covered it up, but sometimes they do get it right. Sometimes they do. And we've kind of forgotten about that. And the only way we'll know if they do or not is if they finish it and we see it through. And speaking of which, this is the man right now in custody, Tyler Robinson. Listen, people are willing to believe that Candace is being chased by the French, that Israel's got it out for her. They'll believe all this crazy stuff. The guys in maroon shirts were U.S. military. Egyptian planes were following Erika. They were willing to believe all that. But they're not willing to believe that a crazy, deranged leftist indoctrinated on Discord in the trans community, where these people are violent. They will light up Teslas. They shot Donald Trump. Black Lives Mattered in 2020, destroyed cities. I mean, oh no, it can't be a leftist. It couldn't be him who killed her. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, except that's been the pattern of the last 20 years. Maybe even further back. I mean, you can go way further back. But look at this guy. Tell me this guy doesn't look like a psychopath. I'm not going to play the sound because I don't want to incur YouTube's wrath. Well, look at his face here. Look at his face. He's gonna give us a big old smile here in a second. Waiting for it. I think this is the smile clip. Yeah. This might not be the clip I was looking for. He seems perfectly happy, though, perfectly at peace. There he is, just laughing, having a good old time. Not scared out of his mind. We did get the good news today that the cameras will be allowed inside the courtroom, so thank God we'll actually get to follow this case. Cernovich broke it down wonderfully, why it actually could make sense to be Tyler Robinson. And this is important because if they actually got the right guy, if Trump is the FBI and the Utah officials, who this is actually a state case, this isn't federal. If the state officials are actually doing their job and got the right guy, remember his parents turned him in. That's the official story. And you know what's interesting about this? If they turned him in, if that wasn't real, don't you think his parents would be freaking out about how he's completely innocent? Why aren't we hearing that? Why aren't his family members going around saying, Tyler's innocent, let him go? Let him go. He didn't do this. He's a good kid. He would never shoot anybody. Don't you think that's what would be happening right now? Don't you think we'd hear something like that if they had doubts? No. So far, it actually seems like the official story is kind of holding up. Sometimes it's boring. I get it. It's not as fun as Candace. That's why I don't have 100,000 people watching right now, because I'm not willing to make crap up. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to believe what I see. I'm going to believe the evidence. And so far, the official story kind of looks mostly there. Doesn't mean there's not more questions. Doesn't mean he wasn't a part of something bigger. Doesn't mean he wasn't MK Ultra. Doesn't mean any of that. Doesn't mean somebody at TPUSA didn't know about it and let him in. But it does mean that this actually makes more sense right now than anything Candace Owens has said. I'm sorry, it's the truth. It's the boring truth. And again, you notice all this is pushing out more and more the last few days. And my belief is, and I thank Tim for this, because I was calling this out weeks ago, but Tim Pool, God bless him, way smaller than Candace, but still way bigger than I am, has a lot of sway out there because people trust him. She crossed Tim. She never should have crossed Tim. As soon as she did, everybody got the courage to start speaking out what they were already thinking. So sometimes it just takes one. Somebody who has a position of power. You need somebody who actually has influence. I can be here all day, and then, the 1,000 people who watch my videos, 2,000 people who watch my videos, they'll know, they'll be in on it. They'll be like, maybe there's some there. Maybe this guy knows some Candace doesn't do it. Maybe there's some to it. Kind of weird. Why is nobody else calling him out? And then Tim Pool does it, and everybody's like, oh yeah, we see it now. Well, that's what's happening. And that's why I believe Candace is doubling down on the crazy. And by going after Erika Kirk, she's really starting to lose that momentum. But look at what Cernovich wrote about Tyler Robinson, which makes a lot of sense. And really, for those who we haven't been talking about what we should have been talking about, the actual case about who killed Charlie Kirk, we haven't been talking about that. We've been talking about French assassins and Egyptian planes and calling the FBI with threats. That's what we've been talking about when we should have been talking about this the whole time. But Cernovich, a lawyer, says high confidence Tyler used a 30-06 to murder Charlie Kirk. He was a sole shooter, but there remain open questions regarding who, if anyone, had advanced knowledge. 100%. We saw the people. We saw the Discord chats and the posts on X about September 10th being a big day. Charlie Kirk's going down. Crazy stuff. But Tyler Robinson was a shooter. It's not hard for a determined white man in his 20s to kill me, you, or anyone else talking about this case, where you've infantilized men to the point it's shocking to those who've accepted the woke point of view of white man. Namely, that they are bumbling sitcom dads. In reality, men much younger than Tyler Robinson sailed the seven seas as pirates and stormed the beaches of Normandy. You had 18-year-olds Ranger Battalion doing direct action missions. If you can't believe a white man is capable of an assassination, then you're a leftist. He was able to get on the roof because America's an open, trusting society. Did you guys see how easy it was to get on that roof? I showed at the beginning. People come and go as they please. No one's looked at. This is especially true of Utah. Drones were not used because there was a turf war between campus police and Charlie security. I've spoken at events had similar conflicts arise. It becomes an ego fest. I believe their campus officials should be investigated for negligence. Bullet pathways and ballistics are unpredictable on target. MLK Jr. was shot with a 30-06 and his face didn't blow off like in those YouTube videos of ham hocks. Yeah, this has been one of the things that people come at me all the time when I criticize Candace. Bro, 30-06 can't get stuck in a guy, dummy. Hey, don't you know a 30-06? You believe you got shot with a 30-06? You're a moron. No, there's a lot of factors that come into play when you shoot a gun, retards. I'm sorry, there just is. And I'm not even a big gun guy. I mean, I believe in them. I'm a huge 2A guy. I just don't use guns that much. I'm not out hunting. My parents were intellectuals, okay? I'm sorry. They just didn't raise me to be out in the, shooting stuff. I like hiking. Okay. I love the outdoors, but I don't shoot stuff. And it's like, I wish I did. Okay. Can I be honest? I wish I did. I think it's cool, but I'm not one of those guys. So I'm not a ballistics expert, but I can tell you, I know enough about shooting to know wind has a factor in it. Range has a factor in it. There's all kinds of things that can change whether or not a bullet does exactly what you think it'll do. Text messages Robinson sent to his trans lover are Reddit coded. Totally not surprising or off. It's how they talk to each other in the language of bad poetry. SD card removed from a camera because media savvy staffers, it was their job to understand who worked with Charlie, would think to grab the footage. 100%. These guys were trained. Charlie Kirk assassination is a state case. Prosecutors are notoriously anxious about evidence being released. Absolutely. It's not the FBI we're supposed to be mad at. They're not even doing the case. This is how stupid this whole thing is, and it pisses me off, but thank God we're finally getting there. Thank God. I think people are finally waking up to the Candace scam, and it's just finally going away, and I can finally start talking about it. Hallelujah. Let's be done. They aren't going to try the course in the court of podcasts and social media. Their court rules against this. Judges blow a gasket. I think it was a mistake for Cash and Bongino to refrain from using strategic leaks to debunk the nonsense around this case. Okay, so there you go. He says the FBI maybe should have leaked some stuff to make it seem, or to actually get some of the info out. So none of this podcast tomfoolery would have kept going on. Fine. That's an okay thing to say. I get it, Cerno. And maybe we shouldn't have gotten this far. But you know what? Candace, if she had any honor at all, would have never let it get this far anyways. A case of this level will be tried on social media, like it or not. I would have managed the case much differently. If put in charge, I'd have been leaking like a sieve. But my read of the case, as well as my experience with various people involved, leads me to conclude beyond a reasonable doubt that Tyler Robinson was a gunman. I consider it open question regarding whether he acted alone. Based on no direct evidence, only my judgment experience investigating the FBI would suspect this was a Garland, Texas situation. If you don't know about that case, look it up, blah, blah, blah. FBI also had advanced contact with the Pulse nightclub shooter, and they did not arrest the shooter despite being informed he'd been making threats to commit jihad. In other words, the FBI might have been able to put something together with the clues they were seeing on the media if they were paying attention, or if they had the intention, they really thought something would happen. Maybe they have some responsibility to have tried to stop it ahead of time. We don't know, but it's possible. Lack of transparency regarding Garland, Texas Pulse nightclub means the burden of proofs on the FBI, not the public. If institutions wouldn't trust, they must be trustworthy, blah, blah, blah. And he says he'll continue to update. Anyways, Cerno's a smart dude. Cerno's the one who got the whole Epstein thing rolling in 1617. Got the first files released way back in the day where we found out about the dude with the island and everything. That's all Cernovich. This guy's very smart. I don't always agree with Cernovich, but it's hard. What he's talking about here just makes sense. It just does. If you actually do the evidence and you don't just listen to Candace Owens, by the way, who changes her mind every 3 days, who is schizophrenic on the case, who's always got to come up with a new bombshell because the previous bombshell had no receipts. Yeah. So I'm so glad people are picking up on this. By the way, this is the same Candace Owens. And I love it. Again, thank you, Internet. Thank you, Internet, for finally doing the work. Finally. It's like, it's a breath of fresh air. I felt like I was alone on this island for a little bit, but now people are waking up to it. Candace Owens, back in the day. Monogamy, not natural at all. Do you see how she's always been doing this? Like just putting out the crazy, I'm the devil's advocate on everything. This is how she's built her entire career. Here's another one that's fun. I think affairs are romantic. Does that sound like the Candace Owens we know today? Oh, okay, fine. People can change in 9 years. Okay, but there's a pattern here, isn't there? Get that big headline, Candace. Come up with a crazy story, Candace. That's how you'll get attention, Candace. Does it have to be true? No. Does it have to have value? No. But get that attention, Candace. You make that money, Candace, won't you? Oh, yeah. Candace Owens knows how to get attention. She's a brilliant marketer. She also has no moral compass on this stuff at all. Again, if she cared about Charlie at all, she would have waited, but she doesn't. And it's not just Candace now. It's coming for Ian Carroll, and I think it's going to keep spreading. We got the news. Nick Fuentes is boosted by bots by that massive report that broke earlier this week. I did a video on it and being a Fed, but everybody's starting to look at these people different. That trust, that it's starting to happen. And you know what? It's not just them being exposed. We're starting to look at Republicans again. We rode that momentum. Last year was all about win the election. We had to win the election. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. We had to unite. We had to defeat Kamala Harris and make sure we didn't go full commie. Then the first of this year is all momentum. Got to undo all this crap that was done to the economy, that was done to the nation. Get rid of all these policies that are destroying us. Trump, hundreds of executive orders, just undoing stuff, putting stuff straight, building cases against crooks, weeding out corruption, finding where the money is, getting peace back in the world to prevent World War III, all that happening. And now it's settling. You know why things are settling a little bit? Why it's slowed down a little bit? Because Trump is doing a good job. And he did so much at first that now it's digging deeper into the deeper stuff. And that takes time. It's going to be a little slower now, and that's okay. But it gives us all time to fight. It gives us all time to see what's really going on. I mean, earlier this year, Ian and Candace, they promoted this imminent sex scandal involving RFK Jr. Here's Ian Carroll's post from March 29th. RFK Jr. blackmail story is breaking from multiple angles. It's bad. Even worse than I say in this video. And then nothing happened. Funny. These receipts just never materialize, do they? They never do. But we're looking beyond this. These influencers we're finally weeding out. Thank God. They will continue to be out there. They'll continue to grift. They'll still have their followings. But that possibility of them coming into the mainstream, they're being rejected right now. And thank God for that. Let's send them back to their corners where they belong, where their influence never reaches any further. That's what needs to happen. The next thing that needs to happen that we're going to get into in a little bit here is weeding out the Republican Party. Because today, the Republicans just spat in the face of Trump over and over again. They did it with this blue slips thing. They did it with the Indiana Senate rejecting the new redistricting lines. They're telling us that they are still corrupt, that they still choose the uniparty over Trump, that they are waiting it out. They don't actually want to win. They've decided, now that they think Trump's a little weaker, they've decided to stand up against him and wait out Trump leaving so that they can just go back to the way things were. That's what the Republicans are doing. The Democrats are so weak, we don't even have to worry about the Democrats right now. Let's listen to a whole podcast breaking down their nominees for 2028. It's a joke. They have no leadership. We don't have to worry about that. J.D. Vance is going to kick their booties. I'm not worried about the presidency for a while, but we need Congress. We need leadership in the other levels of the Republican Party in order to get everything going. That's our system. If we want the biggest change, if we want to see the end of the Fed, we want to see the end of income tax, if we want to see the real true end of wars, we want to see all this, we have to get rid of the corruption at the Senate level and at the state levels. That has to happen. And so right now we're in a battle for all that too. Everything is a battle right now, and it's all the battle within. That's where we're at right now. The good news is I think we broke through this week on this whole influencer madness. I think so many had to pick sides, and it got so heated, so much attention on it, that something broke. I feel a different momentum now. I think all this craziness is starting to subside on the PSYOP side of things, which is the media influencer side of things. That's a really good sign. That means we're going to start seeing momentum build in the other way now towards the people who are actually telling the truth. People starting to wake up again. That's really good. Then we got to go after the Republicans. And that part's coming as well. All right. But moving on to the next part. I'm skipping ahead. Actually, before I go, let me catch up some comments and questions if there's any in the chat. And after I do this, we're going to move on because we got to talk about Trump and Venezuela and this oil tanker and what Trump's doing. Because this, what Trump has just started is the most significant shift in foreign policy we've had in maybe 150 years. So this is going to get wild if he's doing what I think he's doing. So we're going to get into that in a second, but let me catch up real quick. Cass Inc. says, confusing about the blue slips when Thune isn't going to change it, but Trump says Thune's doing a great job. I don't get it. Well, that's not the only thing Thune's doing. And you got to remember that Trump never, well, not never, but he rarely outright criticizes Republicans unless they fully cross him publicly. Thune hasn't crossed him publicly except to say there's certain things he doesn't see getting done. But he hasn't crossed Trump publicly. And Trump, because he knows we're at wartime, baby, this is not time to shoot your own as long as you're moving in the right direction. So Thune's time is going to be limited with Trump. I think it's going to slow down, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll just see how that plays out. Brett says, I think Candace has been hanging out with Hunter Biden, Cory Booker, and the CIA grade meth. Yeah, a little Carol Taco Bell. Apollyon, hell has no fury like a woman's skirt. Absolutely. Igmore on Rumble says Candace and Mercado have pulled with YouTube. Mercado says his videos get pulled. He knows who to call, and YouTube will reinstate and monetize it. Really? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, she definitely got pulled with YouTube. She's making them lots of money. Whitney Houston crackhead looking eyes. She kind of does, doesn't she? Jojo. I love it. I love it. All right. Okay. Let's get into this stuff because this is extremely important. And this article today on Trump and Venezuela is absolutely fantastic. In fact, I think it's the best thing I've seen on the entire situation with Trump and Venezuela. The tanker seizure signals the end of Venezuela's dictatorship. All right, I can't read this whole thing because it's really long, but I'm going to do my best to summarize as we go. All right, so here's the plan. This is what they've launched here, Southern Command. We have all these ships and plane, and so deployment pattern, place to start. Force designed to intercept small narco vessels looks one way. Force designed to restrict a sovereign state's exports looks another. Narco interdiction efforts usually emphasize speed and flexibility. They involve fast pursuit. These routes, let's see, blah, 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 blah. Let's cut ahead here. When one places naval power across arteries, like all this stuff here, I'm not going to read this whole thing. One is not conducting a symbolic drug patrol. One's closing the valves of a state's revenue system. In other words, cutting off all their oil exports. It helps to recall Venezuela exports oil in current sanctions environment. Regime cannot sell openly, so it relies on an intricate system of dark fleet tankers, ship-to-ship transfers, altered documentation, offshore blending operations. Imagine a river been blocked at its source. Basically saying when you find it, you can cut it off. These evasions are useful only when no one's watching. When U.S. forces station themselves directly across the sea lanes where these tankers must pass, the evasions collapse. Consider the recent seizure of a sanctioned tanker off Venezuela's coast. Media is mostly treated as an isolated enforcement action, but it reads as a signal. The administration has shown it's willing to intercept sanctioned cargoes, disrupt shadow fleets, and expose networks kept Maduro afloat. Tanker was not simply a rogue vessel. It represented the entire export model they depended on for years. If further seizures follow, model unravels quickly. Without oil revenue, Maduro has no regime. So Trump's going to just choke them out. He's going to choke them out. It's like an ancient battle laying siege. He's going to starve all their money. You could be skeptical and wonder if this will work. After all, Maduro survived years of economic contraction and domestic unrest. This overlooks a critical detail. Venezuela is no longer buffered by substantial reserves or diversified revenue streams. State held together by cash payments to elites and the military, and the cash comes almost entirely from exports. He goes on to say that basically, with the money they burn through, they have about 6 weeks until the Maduro regime collapses. It's precisely this window the administration intends to create. Ideas by enforcing sanctions at sea, they can force Maduro to step down without needing to fire a shot. And one might wonder why the media frame the buildup as anti-cartel, lies in institutional inertia. Reporters are accustomed to viewing U.S. naval activity in the Caribbean through the lens of drug interdiction. But strategic context matters, blah, blah, blah. He just goes on. It's really, really in depth. And really good stuff. I mean, Trump is fighting a war without firing shots into the mainland or putting boots on the ground. It's actually really brilliant. It's really brilliant. All we're doing is enforcing our sanctions, which is something we've just never done before. And now we're actually doing it. And everybody's freaking out. Okay. This helps explain why the administration acted now. For years, sanctions were under enforced. Tankers operated with impunity. Ship-to-ship transfers near Trinidad became routine. Chinese refiners treating Venezuelan crude as discounted supply source rather than risk. The regime built survival strategies around these patterns. The tanker seizure marks the beginning of a new phase. It signals Washington and Trump intends to make sanctions real. One final point merits attention. Some critics accuse the administration of pursuing regime change. This misses the nature of the policy. The U.S. is not imposing a government on Venezuela. It's enforcing existing sanctions that reflect the illegitimacy of Maduro's self-declared presidency. The aim is to restore the conditions under which the rightful president can return, not to install a puppet regime. And we've talked about all the reasons why it's Venezuela that matters. Apollyon says Maduro's weaseled his way through the past, but he won't survive Trump. Absolutely not. They found it. They're choking off his stream. So why are we doing this? Well, China built a massive refinery in the Caribbean to process Venezuela's ultra-heavy crude after U.S. sanctions. Now Beijing refines it on site in the Caribbean. They don't even take it back to China. Skips the Atlantic crossing and pockets the profit. Ex-CIA officer John Kiriakou just dropped the quiet power out loud. If you want to know when America is serious about attacking a country, always watch for naval movements. A month ago, I said no invasion because we hadn't sent. Now we're serious. We're not at war with Venezuela. We don't buy their oil anymore. Do you guys hear that? Everybody. And now the oil tankers just up this again. People, it's like, this is one of the criticisms I hear. Dude, he's going to Venezuela for oil. It's for the oil, dummy. As if this is George Bush all over again going into Iraq. This is so stupid. I love people. I love people. We have very little critical thinkers left in the world. Very few. And I believe most of you people watching are critical thinkers. That's why you're watching my show. But there's not a lot of you out there. Too many non-critical thinkers are watching Candace Owens instead of getting real, actual breakdown on stuff. Anybody can look and spend 5 minutes on Google and find out that we have not been using Venezuelan oil for years. Our refineries are no longer set to process it because it's crap. It is junky, hard to process oil. It's thick and sludgy. We don't want it. We don't need it. Yes, they have a lot of oil. It's just not very good. But the Chinese are very excited about it. And so there's strategic value to this, but it's not for us. We're doing just fine. The drugs transiting Venezuela are Colombian, Ecuadorian, head to Europe, not America, which I don't necessarily agree with that. But Indians and Chinese built new refineries to handle Venezuelan oil, and they ship the oil there. Chinese are swimming in money. They decide instead of shipping the Venezuelan oil to China, they'll just build the refinery in the Caribbean, refine it there, and the United States doesn't like that. In other words, because Venezuela is skipping our sanctions, Maduro's staying in power, and there's all kinds of reasons we don't like that. It is partly drug related, but it's also the election stuff. The CIA has been operating out of Venezuela. The deep state has major hooks into Venezuela, and that's where a lot of the election fraud came from, especially dealing with the machines. And that's a big part of this. The other big part of this is that by skipping our sanctions, they are helping China do better, helping China skirt. Anytime we try to put pressure on China, China's finding all these other avenues to be fine. And Trump is trying to choke that out. The more Trump enforces this kind of stuff, the weaker China will get and the more they will have to work with us. Trump doesn't want war with China. He just wants them to be in a position of weakness where they're no longer cheating and working with our enemies, working with people who outright hate us, working with awful, awful places in order to enrich themselves and keep getting a one-up over us. Trump's sick of that, and he's putting an end to that. Obviously, China doesn't like it. Tom Luongo writes this: so now that Trump's proposing a new C5, U.S., Russia, China, Japan, India, to counter the old G7, which Trump did. He's proposing a new setup without Europe. Isn't that interesting? Europe, guys, City of London, the cabal. As I've been telling you, he's been super hard on Europe lately. They aren't playing with Europe. He's been more critical of Europe than many other places. They keep running into issues with Europe. Europe is the reason Ukraine and Russia won't end. We have it all set up, and then the Europeans don't want it to end. They don't want to lose their grip on globalism, but they are, because they're losing us. And now Trump's actually saying, I'd rather build an alliance talking with these countries that are supposed to be our enemies, Russia, China, Japan, India, than have Europe along. Is that crazy? That's crazy. But they don't like it. And so they will try to get us into World War III. So there's a lot of naval movement going on right now. China's carrier strike group, reinforced by joint Chinese-Russian bomber formations, maneuvered directly into waters near Japan. At the very moment, Tokyo asserts readiness to defend Taiwan alongside the United States. Remember, Japan just got that awesome new PM there. This is a message. Every regional player heard it, what it signals. Beijing is preparing for more than rhetoric, or they're just puffing up their chests. We'll find out. Moscow is openly acting as a Pacific force multiplier. Listen, again, this is them puffing up their chest, because Russia is very weakened by the fact that they're deeply embedded in Ukraine right now. Their military is less. They have seriously committed forces into Ukraine. Russia can't do anything beyond that. They certainly can't fight us right now. But again, there's a lot of signaling going on right now. North Korea's posturing, I don't know if we have any evidence of that. Japan triggered its existential threat doctrine. U.S. Indo-Pacific commands being forced in rapid alignment. Carrier strike group doesn't move without intent. This is shaping pre-crisis map. 3 nuclear-armed states, China, Russia, North Korea, now signaling unified posture against Japan, Taiwan, and American umbrella. Now, this is a lot of posturing, a lot of organizing. It doesn't mean anything's actually going to happen from this, but it does mean players on the world stage are making signals to each other, and it's not just talk. They're moving things into position. What Trump's doing in Venezuela is seriously freaking out China. It really is. Russia is just always acting in their best interests, and right now their best interest is still keeping things open with China, because they can't deal with the UK, or, well, they do a little bit with oil, but the US and Europe have cut off Russia. So they have to go to China. Japan's still closely allied with us. So there's a lot of posturing going on right now. And all that posturing, I truly believe the only ones that really want war is Europe, because they want to get us into World War III. That's the globalists want that more than anybody. Why would Trump, when all this is going on, ask yourselves this, all this maneuvering of navies, scary stuff, right? Why would all that be going on and they're really getting ready to fight? And at the same time, Trump is saying, Trump saying, I want to build an alliance with you guys and leave out Europe. How does that all make sense? It doesn't. And that's why you just got to trust Trump's lead on this. He's the only one who, as he always says, you don't have the cards. You don't have all the cards. We have the cards. He has the cards. He knows what he's doing. He knows what the plan is here. But because of all this, there's definitely stuff going on. And BAM writes this today. My feed is full, or yesterday, is full of World War III vibes as the ex-algo works 24/7. Also Cambodia and Thailand. BAM model in 25 shows cabal positioning as they did in 37, right before World War II. UVIX, 12/16 is when it starts, and 1-2 accelerates. So 12/16 next Tuesday. Listen, BAM's model is brilliant. Okay, it's brilliant. And what it does, and the reason it's so accurate, is because it tracks all the money inflows and outflows coming in and out of the markets. He's a genius. I don't even know how he built this thing, but it's incredible. And he has all the data going back to pre-Great Depression. Okay, I think he goes all the way back to before the 29 crash. His data is insane. And he runs this data, and this is how he makes all his market plays. And it doesn't tell you day to day what's happening, but it does tell you what they're positioning for day to day. It tells you what they're positioning for month to month. It's incredible what this man has built. It's insane. And what he's saying is that he's watching the money, and all the money of all the big players is positioning itself into places that is preparing for possibility of war. Doesn't mean World War III will happen. And I don't think it will. I think Trump's got a plan in all this. I really do. But it does say that they all, especially who runs our financial markets, guys, other than Wall Street, it is mostly European actors. People with big buku bucks, bankers. And in all that, the euro dollar movement, all that, it's acting as if it wants to go to war. So we know what their plans are, is my point. We're seeing it in many factors. We're seeing it in how they're aligning. We're seeing it in how they won't let Ukraine give in, sign a peace deal. Now we're seeing it with their money. And what does everybody always say? You want to see what somebody's going to do, or see what matters to somebody? Watch what they spend their money on. They're preparing for this. We are heading into 2026, and they know they have got to stop Trump soon, because the Epstein stuff's about to come. Cases are being built to weed out corruption. He is building up the indictments and the cases against all these bad actors. We're going to see more stuff on Crossfire Hurricane. We're going to see more exposure over the fraud of Russia, which could end up bringing down Obama. We could see the end of Clinton. We could see the end of the globalists. We could see a rebuilt economy. Trump has lined everything up, and 2026 looks when a lot of it's going to come to fruition. We're going to start seeing more and more of it build up. The stuff we want to see, guys, the real action. It's coming. It's the stuff that's going to crush them. This year, 2025, was all about undoing Biden and positioning for this. And now we're finally ready to head to this. And they are freaked out. And they're trying to get us back into war. They are trying to really, really badly. And it's not China. China wants to just do their own thing. They still want to be the biggest and the baddest, but they can't. They know they can't take over the world. Their economy is about to collapse. Russia just wants to be left alone. Get NATO off our borders. Stop bringing all this stuff to our borders. Stop trying to make us your enemy. Stop acting as if like you guys can continually see us as an enemy that needs to be built up against. That's a threat. Leave us alone. Putin's very about sovereignty. These guys don't want the war. It's Europe that wants the war. And this is why Trump's pushing them out. He's pushing them out of the deals. The Middle East is almost solved. It's incredible what's happening. But so what does this mean? It means if any of this keeps moving, we could actually see major market volatility. So let's see what happens. We'll keep following it. Igmore says, I heard someone say they researched voting machines for 5 years and said they're actually in England, not in Venezuela. Interesting. I would love to see the research on that. Moody says, Biden and Clinton look so old and frail they might not be around to be prosecuted. Yeah, I mean, Biden's going to die soon. I hate to say it, but he probably will. Just because, I hate to say it, not because I like him, but just because, I don't know. It's just doesn't feel right to say. Clinton is awful. But Clinton's basically the same age as Trump. It looks better there. Yeah, it's crazy stuff. Moody says Trump's calling for dissolution of the EU and think it might happen. He called for Italy, Poland, Austria, and Hungary. I know. I love it. And I got to say, I'm very proud that he mentioned Austria in there because that's where my father was born. So I'm glad Austria is not one of the worst to him. Brett says maybe Gavin Newsom could build 2 refineries in California and put them out of business to help Venezuela out. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Moody says it's not the truth non-critical thinkers are looking for. They like the dopamine hit of rage bait and Candace gives. Absolutely. Well, yeah, non-critical thinkers, they think, quote unquote, with their emotions. And so you're absolutely right. They chase the dopamine hit. They chase what feels good. And, it's hard work to do the real thinking here because we're talking about the greatest powers in the world making movements. We're talking about stuff going on behind the scenes to undo decades of economic control and the eroding of our rights. It's extremely complicated. We're the biggest economy in the world. We're the most complicated economy in the world because it's mostly a free economy, although it's a very crony capitalist economy. So it's got socialist elements, even though it's still mostly capitalist. I mean, it's so stinking. And that's why nobody can be simple about any of this stuff. Nobody can say like, oh, capitalism's failed. Look at our economy. And then you're like, well, it's actually not a fully capitalist economy. The reasons it's failed is because it's got socialist elements in it. It's like, well, then socialism's never been tried before, dude. It's like, well, yeah, it has. And it's completely failed. It's like, you have to know your stuff to actually talk to these people because they just, and to be fair, the school system is the reason they can't do it. When people are 5 years old and they test these kids, 98% of kids at 5 years old test as creative geniuses. 98%. In other words, you were born to be creative. You were born to think and to process and figure stuff out, come up with new ideas. You're born for that. By the time in America, kids who go through the school system reach 18 years old. You know how many creative geniuses are left? How many test as creative genius? 2%. So we go from 98% at 5 years old to 2% at 18 years old. The entire school system is designed to ruin your mind, to ruin your ability to create and critical think. That's the entire school system is built to do that. And that's why there's no critical thinkers. They want you to fail. They want you to be, yes, sir, yes, man, raise your hand, be an employee, listen to the state, accept what you're given, don't fight for freedom, don't fight to become wealthy. Just accept what we give you. Here's your alcohol, here's your pot, here's your Netflix, here's your porn. And be happy. Be happy with that. That's what we're going to get. And that's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to do. And that's why there's so few critical thinkers. And it's the worst in the industrialized countries. So the first world countries, it's the worst. The only place it's worse than countries like America, UK, France, the only place it's worse than these is socialist and communist countries. because that's exactly what they do to them too. They don't want you to be able to think. They want to cut it out of you, because thinking is freedom. Thinking is wealth and prosperity. Thinking is peace. Because if you can critical think and solve hard problems, you don't need to pick huge fights. Sometimes you got to still fight in order to defend yourself or to bring justice. It does happen, but it's not all the time. You don't need to keep getting into mindless wars. You can think of ways to create ways to make money instead of just earning a paycheck. Think of that word, earning a paycheck. You cannot create wealth or build wealth. Listen to the difference of the words. Create wealth, build wealth. Those things versus earn a paycheck. How do you earn something? You earn it by following the rules. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. What do I do, sir? Oh, good boy. You earned it. You earned your treat today. You earned your paycheck. That was never what the American system was about. Capitalism was about teaching people how to build wealth, build businesses, build inventions, create. And they took it away from us. They took it away from us by dumbing us all down. You know, one of the reasons my kids are not allowed to even think about going to public school is because I spent a good, and I didn't even have this awareness until I was about 28, 30 years old. I realized that I needed to unlearn most of what I'd learned in school. And I don't mean the facts. That's not what I mean. I mean how I learned. I mean how I thought about stuff. I mean how I processed information. I had to unlearn that because I was always smart, but I was really good at memorizing, and I was really good at accepting. And I wasn't the best at critical thinking. I had to learn. So you, and in the last 15 years, it's just been a process of unlearning what I'd learned. Some of it still held up, but a lot of it didn't. But it wasn't so much the facts that I unlearned. Some of them I did. It was how I understood those facts. It was how do I use this information? That's what changed. And so I no longer think like I did, but it took time. I had to decompress a lot of it. And I was lucky because I was never as indoctrinated as a lot of other people are. I never got that far. I had a lot of reasons for that. It's a long story, but got other stuff to talk about before we go there. Paulion says, socialists always say that. It's never been properly tried. They won't be able to say that after Mondani. Absolutely. Igmore says, latest Badlands had Alpha Warrior on, said research schematic in England. Huh. Interesting. The betting line, who dies first, Clinton or Biden? My bet is definitely on Biden. I mean, apparently if he's got prostate cancer stage 4 and his mind, yeah, I think he'll go first. But geez Louise. Bread and circus, right? Several countries meeting in France to talk about war with Russia. Yep, they want to build it up, but they're also, Trump is pushing hard. He wants a decision by Ukraine by Christmas on accepting the peace deal. So he's pushing this hard. And here's the deal. If the U.S. now, I said the Republicans are trying to betray Trump. You know what they just passed in the defense bill they just passed? Overwhelming support, like 300 people in Congress voted for it, including most Republicans. They passed like $300 million more to Ukraine. Can you believe that nonsense? The Congress is still trying to feed Ukraine. It's insane. It's insane. Bet Corn Pop tested as a creative genius, even though he's a bad dude and hung out with a bunch of bad boys. You think so? If you're a carburetor eater, does that put you into the almost 100th percentile? Yeah. I guess you got to be creative thinker to eat a carburetor. Like, I wish I had that clip. We need to go back to that clip at some point. Anyways, okay. Let's keep moving on. There is other news that happened today that we need to get into. By the way, if you're enjoying the show, if you agree with what I say or you don't like what I say, but you like how I say it, hey, Keep checking in. Hit that subscribe. Hit that like, please. Tell the algorithm you're actually enjoying the show. Tell YouTube, who keeps trying to cut me off the last 2 nights, that you like my show. I greatly appreciate it. All right, leaked document shows the U.S. wants to pull 4 countries out of the EU as part of the Make America Great strategy. This is what you were talking about, Moody. Countries Trump plans to separate from the EU: Italy, Poland, Hungary. This guy misspelled Hungary. Hungry hippos, and Austria. So Italy, Poland make perfect sense. So does Hungary. This is Viktor Orban kicking butt. Poland is like no immigrants. They're kicking butt. Italy with Meloni, they're awesome. I didn't know Austria was being tough like that. So good for the Austrians. Well done. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. Yeah, I did, Figment. I saw the Fox and Friends interview with Erika Kirk. I talked about it at the beginning. I talked about the whole Candace Owens thing. Okay, so here's what's going on with Trump calling out the blue slips. Let's talk about this for a second, because this is about the Republican betrayal right now. And I'm telling you right now, we need 2026 has got to be a year of getting rid of the bad eggs in the Republican Party. Not all of them. We can't get rid of all of them at once. It's not going to happen. So don't complain to me when it's not happening enough. But we need to make significant strides this year. It's time to get those primaries going. The Republicans today said, we're not going to get rid of the blue slips. You know what blue slips are? Blue slips are one of the stupidest things ever. The blue slips are when the president, using his power, appoints lawyers, federal prosecutors, and so on and so forth in states, which is his right to nominate these people. The senators have a deal with each other that they can single-handedly veto his picks, and they won't vote on them. So in a Democrat state, Trump still has the right to nominate federal appointees in those states. The blue slip deal means that if this blue state has 2 Democrat senators, they can both say no instead of bringing it up for a vote. And the Republicans in the Senate will say, cool, Trump, you got to nominate somebody else. How disgusting is this rule? How stupid is this rule? But it is how the Senate is trying to keep power and keep all holding each other's, wangs around, circle jerking. This is insanity. And it's the most uniparty thing I can think of. It's so crazy. And yeah, it's just an agreement. It's not a law. They could just say tomorrow, we're not doing this anymore. The Republicans could say it. They're in power. They could say, nope, we're not going to honor it anymore. Done. It's just like the filibuster. All it takes is a simple majority on that. The blue slips doesn't even need to be voted on. Trump writes, blue slips are making it impossible to get great Republican judges and attorneys approved to serve in a state where there's a single Democrat. If they say no, it's over for a very well qualified Republican candidate. Only a really far left Democrat can be approved. It's shocking Republicans under Chuck G. Grassley. Chuck Grassley's like 95 years old, and he's pretty conservative, so he's not like the worst guy in the Senate. But because he's so stupidly old school, he cannot fathom a rule being changed. He's the ultimate boomer. It's just like, no, we've never done things that way. We won't change. It's like, I know not everybody's like this, so don't take offense. But it's like at some point, after like 55, 60 years old, so many people just decide that they're never going to change their minds again on anything. Yeah, that's a real healthy way to live. I get that you got a lot of experience, but come on. Like, this is so stupid. But so they allow the scam to continue. So unfair to Republicans and not constitutional, which he's absolutely right on that. Hereby asking Senate Majority Leader John Thune to get something done. Termination of blue slips. Too many great Republicans are being sent packing. John Thune came out today and said he doesn't see it happening. Total betrayal. John Thune is a weak, weak man. And, in the House, we have hope because the House turns over every 2 years. So it's easy to get the House changed. Relatively easy. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's relatively easy to get the House changed, updated, better people in the House. The Senate is like the most. They're the oligarchs, you know. They're the club, the uniparty club, and they are so disgustingly entrenched. And it's because they get the 6 years. And so they're always on rotation, who's in and out. And it's just so hard to get these people to move. The Senate is abysmal. And until they get rid of the filibuster, they can always hide behind that. And that's another reason we need to get rid of the filibuster, is to put these Republican senators on blast. The other thing we have to do, you're right, Grassley's older than a boomer. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I just, he fits the stereotype, even though he's older than that. You're right. Anyways, going back before I was so rudely interrupted. What's that make him? That makes him silent generation, right? Yeah, he's silent generation. So he's a yes man, the silent generation. Don't speak. Don't speak unless spoken to. It's that generation. Born in the Great Depression. Miserable time to be born. Kids, a burden during that time. Silent generation. So what do you call them? A silenty? Quiety? Quieter? I don't know. We got to come up with a term. We got the boomers. We got Xers, Gen Xers. We got millennials. What's Zoomers? We need something for the silent generation. Anyways, I'm totally off track now. What was I saying? Oh, so the filibuster. They hide behind it because they're like, well, we can't get 60 votes, so we get to be weak. Well, if we get rid of it, it's 51. All of a sudden you see them. And this is why, folks, I see a lot of people out there, I'm not going to vote in the midterms. I'm so disgusted with Republicans. Dude, if we all voted in the primaries, this wouldn't be an issue, because in the primaries is where you get to pick the good ones. Once you get to the midterms, it's too late. You're just stuck Republican or Democrat. So you either get to vote for a crappy Republican or a demon, an insane person. And so you vote for crappy Republicans. And that's why nobody wants to vote in the midterms. But that's because nobody votes in the primaries. We have to vote in the primaries. In Texas, if you're still in Texas, you better freaking vote for Ken Paxton. Get that man in over Cornyn, please. He will be such a good senator versus old uniparty Cornyn. So please vote in the primaries. That's what we got to do. And vote in the primaries. And then even if the crap guy wins, we still have to vote for the crappy Republicans. I'm sorry. Show up and do your job. Because if you don't, you're a part of the problem, because you're letting the crazies back in. I would rather, and I hate these people. I hate weak Republicans. In some ways, I hate them more than Democrats. But I'll tell you this. They're weak and feckless, and they get nothing done. But getting nothing done is better than me going to jail for speaking out. It's better than me being, any of us being forced to take COVID jabs that give us heart disease. That's what the Democrats want. They want to take all your tax dollars and give them to Somalians. And this is not even a joke. We're proving it. So, yes, show up and vote for crappy Republicans. Do the primaries first. And if we lose, we still vote for the crappy Republicans, because it's better to get nothing done than bad things done. But all that being said, it's time to purge this stupid party. Trump's biggest enemies right now are inside, because they could do everything he wants. We could get it all done right now. But we have a system, so we don't have a king, and everybody's blaming Trump. Everybody should be pissed at the Senate. Senate first, House second. That's where you should be angry at. Stop being mad at Trump. He's doing everything he can do. And this is only critical thinkers can do this, can put this together. Candace Owens watchers can't. It's too hard for them to figure this out. But it's just insane. Yeah, Brett says yesterday, 13 Republicans voted down Trump's executive order on federal worker unit. Yeah, in the House. Hopefully it won't pass the Senate. Also, Trump might be able to veto it either. Anyways, so we'll see. Anyways, let's keep going. So this is interesting. The states are fighting back on election stuff right now, but it is Tom Luongo brought up a great point that in Article 1, Section 4 to 5 of the Constitution, this is important because we want to get these election laws passed. It actually says prescribed the times, place, and manners of elections for senators and reps shall be prescribed in each state. But the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. So there you go, guys. They can make laws. And so anytime somebody says it's up to the states, well, it is until it's not. So there you go. That's pretty major. Let's see here. What was this one? Oh, Trump pardoned Tina Peters. So obviously we're trying to get he's getting into the election stuff. Okay, this is starting to ramp up. He mentioned it on the interview I played the other day. We're going after this Venezuela stuff. He just pardoned Tina Peters, which, by the way, Tina Peters is there on a state crime, so this won't get her out of prison, but it's definitely putting a lot of pressure on her. He says at the end, Democrats have been relentless in their targeting of Tina Peters, a patriot who wanted to make our elections fair and honest. She said in a call, I'm giving her a full pardon for attempts to expose voter fraud. And Democrats chose instead to prosecute anyone they can find that wants safe and fair elections. So we're working on that front. Tim Pool right here talks a lot about what I just said about the midterms. And this is exactly right. This is why, he says, this is why I care so much about the midterms. I don't want to go back to a time when people couldn't get jobs, go outside, or enter buildings unless they got a mandated medication. So there you go, guys. And this is to the Atlantic admitting COVID censorship went too far. Yeah, you think so? Because now it's all over the place that the COVID injections are giving us heart damage. This is in the Telegraph of the UK. So we all knew this. Most of us knew this for the last 5 years. It's finally coming out. This is what happens if Democrats get back in, guys. If Democrats get back in control, we become Europe. And I'm not saying it'll happen. I mean, Trump will keep them at bay, and the Supreme Court will keep them at bay if, even if they win the House. But the point is that how can we even let them do that? How can we even let them get to the point where they can hold back Trump's agenda even more than the Republicans are holding it back? Because they will. They'll make it so much harder. They'll investigate Trump. They'll impeach him. They'll just keep this whole game running and running around. It'll be insanity if they get in. These people are terrible, terrible people. The Republicans are mostly terrible, terrible people. But they're terrible, terrible people that at least won't go after us. They'll sit on their thumbs. They'll fight back against changes happening. Even today, Rand Paul, God, this guy is such a joke. They tried to pass changes for Obamacare where we would get money straight to us instead of going to the insurance company, so we could start making more choices with our plans and all that. It was the part of the Trump plan to start reforming Obamacare. It's a step in the right direction. Rand Paul is one of the reasons it didn't pass, because the vote narrowly failed. Rand Paul joined the Democrats. You know why? Because he said, I want it to do more. And because it's not doing enough, I won't vote for it. This is why libertarians, not you people that are libertarians, but the libertarians in places of power are totally worthless, because deep down, they got to be working for the deep state, because it's just stupidity to say, I won't vote for progress because it's not perfect. That's stupidity, and they know it, and it gives them an excuse they can hide behind these fake ideals. Thomas Massey, same guy, same thing, just as bad. But that's what happened today. And this is what comes, guys, if we let it come back. It's so crazy. We just can't do this. Igmore said, I watched Schiff win with the stuffed ballot, same day voting and voter ID. That's right. Yeah, Schiff, oh man, he totally stole that race. Paulion, did Tina Peters ever give up that flash drive she had before they wiped it? I don't know. That's a good question, Paulion. I don't know that one. Finally, maybe some good news coming to the markets for those of us wanting the corruption to end. SEC Chair Paul Atkins says the U.S. financial markets are moving on the chain. SEC is prioritizing innovation, embracing new technologies to enable this on-chain future. So apparently sometime next year, end of 26, early 27, trading should start getting on blockchain. I believe that's what they're doing. I believe that's what he means by this. Guys, if this is real, if this can actually happen, they pull us off. It would give them every tool needed to destroy naked shorting and market manipulation. So it would end dark pools. I mean, we're talking, this could be exactly what we've been waiting for. And it makes me think that while we've been waiting for the markets to get better, for Trump to do stuff, that they've actually been solving it behind the scenes. That's what this tells me. So we'll see if they pull it off. Like I've told you guys, if they went hardcore after all that stuff, all that manipulation, all the corruption in the markets, if they went after it hardcore in a public way, it would crash the markets. It would, because it's all held up by, it's a house of cards. So again, if they're positioning themselves like this, it tells me that they are doing it slow and methodical, but in a way that won't destroy everybody, that actually is good, and only weed out the bad. But at the same time, it also tells me that maybe they're just setting themselves up for a predicted market crash, going back to like BAM's model and everything, what it's showing could be coming. Maybe that's what they're preparing for. And so they have a new system for the markets to come out of it. So again, all of this is the kind of stuff that I was kind of predicting might be what's happening. Like my theory on the markets, this all lines up with that, where they've been waiting for a crash because they didn't want to kill everybody's 401ks. Makes a lot of sense. That's exactly how Trump operates. He loves to operate by the law, and he loves to win without causing much collateral damage to innocent people. And that's how Trump is always operating. It's why he's a little slower than people like a lot of the times. So it's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense. And I really hope that's what they're doing. But all right. On that note, guys, Brett says, I'll get my Matt Kors fanny pack and get ready to go to the moon with AMC. Isn't AMC at like $2 right now? My God, I feel so bad for people who stayed in AMC. I tried so hard, guys, for a year and a half. I tried to let everybody know that AMC was going to fail. I tried, because the CEO is so evil. I tried so hard to save you guys from AMC. So anybody who stayed in AMC and didn't trust me on that, I'm sorry. I tried to tell you guys why I was out and why I would never go back. But, some people, they get it in their minds. They can't let it go. It's very sad. But listen, so moving forward, things to look for the next couple of weeks. Market volatility really picking up. BAM's model shows that if they really are doing this World War III prep, where they're trying to position, that's the UK and Europe, not everybody, but that's where the money's going. Yeah, look for that. Powell, they did just do a rate cut, and after a rate cut, Powell said they're going to be very careful about rate cuts going forward. I would anticipate the markets don't like that. And so now that they've gotten the rate cut they were looking for, that gives the markets an excuse to start going back down, even though there was a really good day today in the Dow. But there's just a lot going on in that area. The other thing is, I think we're going to start seeing some murmurings of this whole Venezuela thing. We're going to start seeing a lot of media people pushing that Trump's a warmonger again. Watch for the influencers. Now that the Charlie Kirk stuff, the Candace Owens stuff's getting exposed, watch for them to start finding a new narrative. Remember in the summer, it was Trump's owned by Israel. That's what Ian Carroll was saying. That's what Candace Owens was saying. Nick Fuentes, all these people. That's what they were pushing. Then Charlie Kirk died. Then it became, oh, they killed Charlie Kirk and all this stuff and trying to destroy MAGA from within on that. The next thing, if it's Venezuela, it's either going to be Trump's abandoning us with the economy. So it might be that, or it's going to be Trump is secretly a warmonger, just like them. So look for one of those two things to start getting pushed more and more. And I think the Venezuela stuff, Epstein files, those are supposed to start getting released next Friday, I believe. We're supposed to start seeing something on that. So that'll be interesting. I think it's going to be all bad for the Democrats. So that'll be a lot of fun. Let's see. Trying to think what else. Anyway, there's just a lot to look forward to. It's going to be, I think the news is slowing down. One of the reasons is the holidays, but I'm trying really hard to watch what's going on behind the scenes because I think there's a lot of important stuff going on behind the scenes. I really do. And so coming into 2026, it's going to get wild. Yes, Lochtefeld says the print is on. It's true. The Fed has announced their quantitative easing again, $45 billion a month. So they are. And what does that tell you, Lochtefeld? It tells you that the Fed sees there's a liquidity crisis because they only do the printing when there's a liquidity crisis. So now the Fed doing QE is not quite the same as like the Congress putting out tons and tons of money. It's likely not going to impact inflation. It's a little bit different, but what it does do is it artificially inflates markets. So there's that going on. They're scared. They're definitely preparing for some. They definitely are. Whether or not it hits anytime soon, that's what we never know. But all the signs are there that they're preparing for something. They're scared. And I think it's going to be a big market. I think there's major issues coming in the markets. I really do. But I think Main Street is going to mostly get by it because of what Trump's done. I think he set up Main Street to survive and even thrive coming out of it. D6 says DJT Board of Directors. Eric Swider used to go on Rumble during DWAC to DJT, said I'm getting more done when I'm not making noise and when I'm speaking out. Absolutely. What's up with G-Bucks? I have no idea, US1. I'm sorry. Brad, maybe they can figure out what Jimmy Hoffa's. I love it. So good. Am I blocked? David, what's up? I don't think you're blocked. I'm just now seeing you, but weird. Yeah, I haven't been seeing your comments, but thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. $5 from David. So I don't think you're blocked. I mean, I don't know. Why would you be blocked? Weird. I saw you at the beginning, right? I shouted out your name. I don't know. Weird stuff. Weird stuff going on my YouTube last couple nights, guys. They're not happy with my channel for whatever reason. Oh no. Candace never gets blocked, does she? I don't ever see Candace get shut off, just saying. Anyways, guys, listen. I am going to Brett's going to check your other account, David, if you send a comment from it. He's a mod. So I'm heading out of town tomorrow, guys. I'm heading out for my anniversary for a couple of days. So you won't be seeing me, but I might come on Sunday depending on how much news is going on. So thank you guys though for the support. Members, thank you guys. Did a members live last night. That was just fun. I just enjoyed talking to you guys. Going through those Office Space clips was a lot of fun. If you want to be a member, if you enjoy the show and support the channel, the work I do, please hit up the Patreon. You get a free month to just see if you even like it. You'll get members lives and access to the Discord server, and it's free. And then after that, you could just decide if you want to do $5 a month. That's it. That's all I ask for all that extra content. If you want to join on YouTube and just get the members lives, you can also do that. Just join. It's only $3 a month to do that. And then you get access to members only lives, but you do not get the Discord. So there's that. But anyways, any support is welcome. I appreciate it, guys. You guys are the best. I know it's Christmas, so people can't be tight and you're paying for your families. I get it. So I totally understand. So pray for me for a new PC. I need a new PC because mine is starting to struggling a little bit. So that's one thing I'm hoping I can maybe swing after I take care of Christmas for the kiddos. But anyways, love you guys. God bless you. We need to end in a prayer. There's so much going on. And listen, don't fall for the psyops. What we just went through for the last 6 weeks, the psyop they pulled off, one of the biggest I've ever seen. It was so bad. Obviously, Trump's poll numbers went down. The midterms shifted in favor of Democrats now. It was all out assault, but it feels like we're on the other side because the fever is breaking from the influencer side, and Trump's approval is starting to tick back up. So I think the fever's broken. And now it's time to start getting some real receipts on the justice side of things and on the economic side. So we'll be seeing what happens there. But anyways, let's end in a prayer as we always do and say goodnight. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless all these people, Lord. Thank you for their support and watching. And just be with them, Lord. And I pray for our country, God, that you just lead us back and show us, God, help us navigate all the crazy narratives out there, Lord, and actually get real justice, not fall for people trying to sow discord and confusion, Lord. Just help us cut through all that and just bless our night. Bless our president, give him protection, bless everybody working with him. And just in all that's going on, God, we just pray no wars. No more wars. We ask for prosperity back to our land, peace, and pray for justice, that all corruption would be rooted out, all fakes would be exposed, and God, we could just get our country fully back. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. God bless you guys. Let's see here. David trying to figure out if you're blocked. Look at the message you just blocked. No wonder he's not showing up. Oh, I didn't see. All right, if it's a joke, let him go. I didn't see the message, Brett, so YouTube must have filtered the message, but anyways, I can see your messages, David. So anyways, David, as long as you're nice, I mean, I don't care as long as you're not trolling or cussing up a storm. But yeah, I'm letting Brett can see the messages. I can't. So, but anyways, you can have a chance. You're on this account. You can talk. Just, all I can say is don't blow it. I don't know why you're blocked on the other one. I don't see all the messages, but I trust my mods. So anyways, if it was a joke, you're good. You're good. Just use this account for now on. Okay. So we're all good. All right. And appreciate you. Jump in the Discord. All right. If you're a member. All right. God bless you guys. Have a great night. And hope you guys have a wonderful wonderful weekend. I know I will. So God bless. Take care.